Okay, so we're going to need bricks and a bit of wall space as well. So try to get all your bits and pieces close by. A bit of wall space, bricks, and I'm going to use a strap as well. So you might need a strap or a scarf or something like that. Okay, so we'll just start warming up the body, and then we're going to come and put our legs up the wall, which I know will be a lovely, pleasing thing to do for some of you tonight. So let's just take ourselves onto our mats. Spread your toes out so they're nice and wide, and just kind of push the floor away, one side and then the other. Get a little bit of movement through your legs and through your hips. Here, that's it. And then I'm going to get you to slow down, roll your shoulders back, and then drop your head and roll your head and your shoulders and your hips. Kind of a lovely rolling, unwinding movement. One direction and then the other, rolling the head and rolling the shoulders, massaging, releasing. That's the way. Good. Roll those shoulders, drop down into that goddess stance. So we want to have nice weighted heels in the ground, knees on top of your ankles, and just take a deep breath in as you lift your arms up, and then sigh the breath out and push the floor away, breathing in and out again. And I want you to really pull that breath up underneath your armpits, stretching into those intercostal muscles between the ribs, pulling the breath up through the back of your lungs. Deep breath. This is such a great way just to get the prana, the life force, running through the body, waking you up and down. A nice lateral stretch up and over to one side, and then up and over to the other side. Press down through the heel so the hip gets a nice stretch here. And then all the way to your toes, and all the way to your toes, stretching. Beautiful. Come back, drop your hands just above your knees, toes come in a little bit, release your shoulders. Inhale, release your shoulders. So let's start getting into the breath a bit more now. On the squeeze, let go of your breath, releasing the lower jaw and breathing out through an open mouth. So it's a big sigh. Breathing in through the back of the nostrils, sighing out through the mouth. Good. And again. Come back into the center, lift your tail behind you, and then tuck your tail. So just mobilizing the pelvis, lifting and tucking, breathing in as you lift, breathing out as you tuck. So we get this massage through the lower back, and just start to get that little bit of movement right up through the spine into the upper back as well. So lift and tuck, lift and tuck. Leave your tail behind you and lift it, and swing your tail from side to side. Let's just get a little bit into those hips, massage into those hips, and then try to make the swing a bit bigger and get a bit of length through those inner thigh muscles. Stretch and stretch. Keep breathing. Nice fluid breath as you start to transition yourself into the Ujjayi breath. So that's the slight constriction on the back of the throat and starting to breathe in and out of the nostrils. Good. And then coming up, big circles with the pelvis, lifting and dropping through those hips, massaging those hips around. And the other way, lovely big circles. Very good. Now let's just activate the upper back muscles that will help with our posture. So arms out to the side, drop the shoulders, nice and soft through the knees, and little circles backwards. So palms facing forward, thumbs up, little circles backwards. Imagine you have an orange between your shoulders and you're just holding the orange in place. Squeezing, 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 squeezing. That's it. And then some big circles again, taking the arms behind you as if you're backward swimming, like so. And just make your way over to the wall. So we want to put our hip against the wall as we sit down. Have your bricks close by, have your strap close by, bricks by the wall, and then you just slide your legs up the wall, like so. So I'll try and describe everything if you can't see me now that you're lying down. Legs up the wall. Now, first of all, just feel the lovely weight of your legs dropping down into your pelvis, palms up, and let your arms be really heavy, chin slightly tucked in, and take a couple of big, full breaths using these intercostal muscles. So it's almost like you have an accordion across your diaphragm and into these ribs, into these intercostal muscles. And as you breathe in, you're pulling the breath out. And then as you breathe out, you're pushing the breath out of you. So breathing in, pulling the breath into these ribs, breathing out, ribs come slightly in towards your core, towards your spine. So feel as if you're expanding and then retracting with each breath. And then grabbing your bricks or your pillow, whatever you've got, and let's just place one to start off with underneath the pelvis. So just across the sacrum, underneath the pelvis, try and make it comfortable. So rearrange it until it's nice and comfy. So now we've got a little bit of an angle here, and our pelvic organs are dropping away from the pelvic floor. So especially once you get past kind of 40-ish, to be honest, and the estriol, this type of estrogen, starts to diminish in the whole pelvic bowl as our ovaries over 5, 10, 12 years start to diminish their production of estrogen. This whole area gets a lot less elastic. The muscle fibers become slightly dehydrated and weakened. And therefore, when we run or when we do high impact exercise or just when we're standing all day, the pelvic organs can start to drop down against the pelvic floor and actually into the vagina. So taking our legs up the wall and pelvis up reverses that effect of gravity and takes all of the pressure, the intra-abdominal pressure, off the pelvic floor. So it's a really, really nice way just to spend a bit of time, especially at the end of the day. So I'm going to get you to massage your ankles around. Big circles, one foot and then the other, or so you can do both at the same time. You're going to work your core a little bit here to hold your legs off the wall. Other direction, massaging them around. And then just drop your left foot against the wall and take your right foot towards you. Now, if you've got a strap or a scarf or something, you could use that just to help you get into the hamstrings. So we want to press the heel away from us as we draw the toes towards us, and then push the back of your pelvis into your prop, into your brick. So it's a little bit of a pressure away, and then a pressure down, and then a push away, and then a push back down. And I like to rub the back of the leg, rub into those hamstrings, just kind of warm up the muscle fibers, especially just above the knee, and then down by the bottom here. So the insertion points of those hamstrings. And we know that when the hamstrings get tight, the pelvis gets pulled under. So we really need to make sure calf muscles and hamstrings get regularly attended to. And then take your foot out. So the heel, the right heel is facing your left shoulder, toes are towards your right shoulder, and rub down the outside of your leg into that really nervy, horrible stretch down this IT band here. Beautiful. And then just swap feet. Same thing on the left leg. So pressing the heel away and then pushing the back of the pelvis into your brick, pressing the heel away, pushing the pelvis down. So we're going to do this pulse through the leg as we start to lengthen those hamstrings, getting a little bit of action going through the calf as well. That's the way. Shoulders nice and relaxed, jaw nice and relaxed. Imagine as you exhale that your lower jaw is just unwinding away from your upper jaw. So all of this is really relaxed as you're doing a bit of work down in your legs. And then turn the heel, the left heel towards your right shoulder. A little bit of movement of the leg across the body and then rubbing the outside of that left leg. A little bit of warmth into the outside of the leg there. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to get you to, as we'll get rid of the strap for a moment, and just slide your legs apart. Now, if you don't have enough wall, still use your strap and just have your legs off the wall and have your strap around your feet, like so. So if you can, though, if you've got enough space on your wall, slide your legs apart until you feel the stretch through those inner thigh muscles here, the adductors. So these run straight up into the pelvic floor. For a lot of women, they're quite tight or they have little knots in them. So rubbing the inside of your legs, get a little bit of warmth there. That's it. And then bend your knees and have your feet on the wall so that you can create a bit of a baby pose action. And this stretch goes right down into the groin area, right up high towards the pelvic floor. And I want you to breathe now as if the whole area is being massaged with your breath. So both the inhale and the exhale feel as if they are filling up this whole area from your belly button downwards. This is down training, softening these muscle fibers so that we can then strengthen them. So especially as they start to age, they start to get more dehydrated, we need to be able to lengthen and then pulse, lengthen and pulse to really get that good vascular flow through these muscle fibers. So toes together now, knees out, so a bit of cobbler, but upside down. And you can just gently, gently, gently press your thighs apart. Again, smooth breath into the lower belly. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Make sure your jaw is relaxed. The jaw and the pelvic floor are very deeply connected, fascially connected. So when we relax our jaw, it helps us to relax around the pelvic floor. That's the way. Good, and then just draw those knees together, take your brick away and shuffle yourself away from the wall a little bit. So we want to stay so that our legs are, so our feet are still on the wall, but so that we have our calves parallel with the ground, like so. We're going to use these bricks in a minute, so I'll just put them on the side there. All right, let's just start by pushing the feet into the wall and slowly rolling up the spine and then slowly rolling back down again. Your toes can be quite light, but your heels need to be really pushing into the wall. We want those gluteal muscles to start getting some activation. So we're pressing to lift, massaging into the back, slowly rolling back down. And as you come back down, imagine you've got a pearl necklace and each one of your vertebrae are like a pearl, and we're just trying to place them one at a time down onto the ground. And again, just lifting up and then sliding back down. Very good. So from here, I'm going to get you to activate the pelvic floor muscles and then zip up a little bit towards your deep core muscles here, your corsatory muscles. I'm going to take a brick underneath my head, just so that I'm not feeling like I'm straining my neck. So it's quite nice just to slide something underneath your head to rest on. So what we want to do is focus on the four corners of the pelvic floor. So pubic bone, tailbone, sitting bones. And as we exhale, gather those four corners towards each other. So it's just kind of a sucking in, it's a hugging kind of sensation. Pause and then exhale again and see if you can feel like you're zipping upwards towards your tummy button through the vagina. Pause, and then exhale again and see if you can feel like all of your corsatory muscles are cinching in towards your spine. And then let it all go. So we want to go 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, gathering in, hugging inwards. Exhaling again, zipping upwards. Exhaling again, cinching in as if all of that corsatory is just getting a little bit tighter. And then let it all go. So as you let it all go, breathe into these intercostal muscles, breathe into the lower belly, have a nice relaxing breath. And then we're going to do it all on one exhale. So rather than going exhale, 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 we're just going to go one long exhale, gathering in, zipping up, cinching in. So deep breath in and then exhale. Kind of helps actually if you blow out of your mouth while you're doing this rather than just breathing in and out of your nostrils. So let everything go. Imagine you're blowing out of a straw and gather, lift, and then tighten. So good. So it's 3 parts. Gather, lift, tighten, relax. Gather, zip up, tighten the corsatory muscles, relax. Gather, zip up, tighten the corsatory muscles. Now hold it here. So you've gathered, you've lifted, you hold it here. Fingertips on the outside of your knees, shoulders away from your ears. Press outwards with your knees and inwards with your fingers. so that we create a little bit of activation through the outer thigh muscles here. These are the stabilizing muscles for the pelvis. And we've got our contraction happening. And then let it all go. Everything relaxes. And then take your hands into fists like this and take the outside of your hands onto the inside of your knees. Exhale to gather and zip up. And then holding that contraction, holding that lift, press inwards with your knees and outwards with your fists. So gently pressing inwards with your knees and outwards with your fists. So we're now working on the inner thigh muscles, contracting them as well. And then just let it all go and relax the breath. Nice soft breath into the lower belly. Imagine that the whole area is relaxing with your breath. Now this time, take the hands just above your knees. So on your thighs, above your knees, flat. So we want to really make sure the pelvic floor is activating this time. So we exhale, we gather in, we zip up, we get those core suture muscles squeezing inwards. It's all lifted. Hold that. Now start to gently press your hands into your knees and kind of push your knees back into your hands. So your toes might go onto the wall and heels come off. And it's just a gentle, gentle bit of pressure. You want to keep making sure that you can lift up through the pelvic floor muscles. And little puffy breaths out. And then just release all of that down. Take your right ankle and place it on top of your left ankle like that, and let your right knee, drop out to the side. And then just take your left foot off the wall and draw the left knee in towards you. So you deeply stretch into the glutes and into the hips here. Again, let your lower belly be loose. We're now stretching into the thighs, outer thighs, pelvic floor muscles, everything we've just been squeezing. We want to release again. So gentle bit of pressure. Shoulders away from ears, remember. Just make sure they don't start to drift up, which I see quite often. So let those shoulders be relaxed. And then just rock from side to side. Give yourself a bit of a massage across your lower back and into the pelvis. And this just seems to get a little bit deeper here into the bum muscles. That's the way. And then swapping sides. Now this time, as you bring your right knee in, you let your left knee drop out, I'm going to get you to take your thumb and put it on that acupressure point, which is just underneath the pink bit of your foot as it intersects the arch of your foot. So you want to put your thumb in the middle there, press quite firmly. So this is an acupressure point that just kind of softens the whole central nervous system, really calms it down. And we'll add to that by doing a couple of those Brahmaharya breaths out, the buzzy bee breaths out. So as you go into this deeper stretch and as you feel the stretch in your hip and in your bum, add that buzzy bee breath out and the pressure in your foot. So it's like this. And as you press the buzzy bee breath out of you, you also try and press your knee out a little bit more. So you go deeper into the stretch. Let's do one more. Beautiful. All righty, just slide your way back. We're going to need our bricks or our props. So I'll take those with us. So just slide your way back onto your mat. So you've got a bit of space here. And I'm going to get you to start with your feet directly underneath your knees, like so. And we'll just start to activate our gluteal muscles a bit more. So I'm going to get you to press your heels down, exhaling as you do so, and slowly roll up again. And then release back down and let everything soften. So an exhale sees you pushing your heels into the ground, rolling up the spine, and rolling back down again. So just keep doing this and going up a tiny bit higher each time you come up, a little bit higher, a bit more pressure through the upper back. That's the way. And this time as you come up, pause, imagine your knees are shooting to the walls opposite you and start to roll your shoulders underneath your body. So we get a bit more of a squeezy sensation through the upper back and we're opening through the chest. Now I'm hands down on the ground or maybe interlacing the hands and pressing the hands and the forearms into the ground. And then take some deep, deep, deep breaths. And we want to breathe right up through the chest, out to our shoulders. And imagine the breath is also being sent down through the knees, and the knees are shooting out. So we stretch the whole front line of the body. So nice, firm pressure through the heels. Good. Take the hands down on the ground again, and very, very slowly stretch your shoulders out, and then slowly, slowly come back down. And we want to massage those vertebrae as we come down. 1, 2, 3, soften. Everything softens. Good. Now take your feet a little bit wider on your mat. And this time we're going to push the floor away with the heels, come up, and then squeeze our knees and our thighs together. Let the knees part and then roll back down and let everything release. So we come up on an exhale, push the heels in, exhaling, squeeze your knees and your thighs together, release them, slowly come back down again. See if you can pulse your knees and your thighs when we come up. 1, 2, 3, like that. So we exhale up, 1, 2, 3, release your knees, roll back down, let everything relax. Exhale, come up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down and relax. Exhaling, roll up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down and soften. And again, squeezing up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, release the knees, roll back down and soften. Take the feet back underneath your knees. Now we'll just do a couple more of just the activation, zipping up. So exhale, zipping all the way from pelvic floor up through the vagina, through the cervix, into these deep core muscles, and then let it all go. And exhaling, it's like you've got a plunger, just zipping upwards and then releasing down. Or if you've got very high-waisted jeans on, you're kind of zipping up all the way from the pelvic floor up to the top, and then fastening, and then letting it all go. Okay, so this is the action we want on that exhale. We want the pelvic floor to activate before these deep core muscles here. Okay, so we're going to come up, we're going to challenge the bum muscles a bit more. We're going to push the heels down into the ground, come up onto just a diagonal until you can feel your bum working here. Then shuffle your feet close together so that the toes almost touch. Hands down on the ground to support you. Now put all of your weight in your left heel and stick your right foot out in front of you and just massage those ankles. Take your toes around like so. Keep breathing. And then put the right foot down on the ground, push through the right heel and stick your left foot out and just massage that ankle around. Good. Keep your jaw nice and loose. That's the way. And place it back down. And stay high if you can. Put all your weight into your left heel again. Stick your right foot out in front of you. Now this time, exhale, take the heel up towards the ceiling. So we stretch into those hamstrings. Keep the pelvis high, pressing down hard through that left heel. Slowly take that foot down. Stick that right heel into the ground. All the weight's in the right heel. Stick your left foot out in front of you. Exhale, take the foot up towards the ceiling. Press out through the heel so you stretch those hamstrings. See if you can keep high just for one more breath. And then slowly bring it down, both feet on the ground. And again, very, very slow, roll down, 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 down. Let the whole of your back melt into the ground. Lift your knees in towards your chest and just give yourself a hug here, massaging around through the lower back, one direction and then the other. Good. And then big circles with your knees. So this is a lovely big stirring sensation, as if your femurs are just stirring into the pelvic bowl, starts to massage into and warm up those big rotator muscles around the hip joints. One direction and then the other. Very good. And then toes down on the ground, knees together, heels are up, toes together, knees together, heels up. We're going to drop the knees out like a butterfly, so you stretch the inner thigh muscles. And then as you exhale, pelvic floor lifts, you zip all the way up and the knees come together and then release again. So you're exhaling to zip up and inhaling to release. Exhaling, zipping up, inhaling to release. Exhaling, zipping up, inhaling to release. Do the next few where you're doing a sound out through your teeth, because that makes the diaphragm have to work harder, and therefore we get more of a suction through the pelvic floor muscles. So out. Breathe in. Inhaling. Breathing out. Inhaling to release. Inhaling to release. Inhaling to release. Good. Knees back together. Take your hands underneath your pelvis. So you're kind of resting on the back of your hands, palm of your hands are underneath your bum. And then lift your right foot up towards the ceiling. Press the heel away. And just start to do some bicycle actions with that leg. Now, we need to have everything slightly switched on. And the reason we've got our hands underneath our bottoms is so that we don't flare through the ribs. So keep sucking the base of the rib cage down towards your spine. And then try that on the other side. Keep breathing, especially focusing on the little puffy exhalations. Good. Now, if that was okay, try doing both together. If you find doing both together puts pressure through your lower back, then go back to one at a time. You need to be pressing your bum back into your hands so that you stay active through core. Okay, and then just pause it and exhale and see if you can do some backwards cycling as if you're on a penny farthing bike. So you exhale to bring your legs up. If this feels like it's too much on core, you just do one leg at a time. So just reduce it to one leg at a time, still working on core. Good. And then one leg up, massage those ankles around. And then swap and massage those ankles around. Good. Take your feet nice and wide on your mat, arms out to the side, drop the knees to one side. So we stretch right up in here into the hip flexors, and we're taking the stretch from the inside of the knee as well. And then up and over to the other side, dropping the knee down. Good. And just doing a little window wiper from side to side, swish and swish from side to side. Beautiful. And then we're just going to roll over onto the side. So you're going to need a brick or a pillow or something underneath your head, just so your head doesn't kind of drop down onto the ground like that. And to start off with, let's just open up the shoulders. So I'll leave this brick here for a moment. So fingertips on your forehead, other arm down below you. So this top arm is sliding back behind you. Elbow comes back and then drops back towards your bottom arm. So you're sitting in a sort of fetal position. As you inhale, we open the chest and we exhale to release. Now see if you can just close your eyes and focus on the sound of your breath. Release the jaw, just breathe in and out the nostrils. Sound of that Ujjayi breath. And also the wonderful sensation of opening your chest as you breathe in. So we're mobilizing those lungs. We're mobilizing the thoracic spine. And this is where so many of us hold tension. This time as you come back, pause, and then turn your head to face forward and see if you can unfurl your hand behind you. So gravity is stretching deeply into these chest muscles. If that's too much on your shoulder, hand on hip and let the elbow drop back. So we still have a similar stretch, but it's not quite so strong. Hand on hip and elbow dropping back. Otherwise, gravity taking the whole of your arm back behind you. So feel the stretch here. This is often when people are very tight here, the shoulders roll forward, the diaphragm gets constricted, and good posture, it's all over. So let's just take a nice big roll through the shoulders here. Okay, so I'm going to get you to do the similar action through pelvic floor and then zipping up through tummy button and then corsetory muscles switching on. This time we're concentrating a little bit more on the obliques here. So what we're looking for is as you exhale and you zip up to create a little bit of space underneath your waist there, and then we just relax down. So imagine you're in bed and your tummy's just flopping out. Just let it flop out. Don't do any constriction on your tummy here. But as we exhale, we zip upwards and corsetory muscles will switch on, and we try to get a little gap underneath the waist. And then we relax it all down. So we exhaling, zipping, and getting those corsetory muscles to switch on, and then relaxing down. Exhaling, zipping in, and relaxing. Exhaling, zipping up, cinching inwards, and relaxing down. Now take your other brick, and we're going to have the bottom knee, so my right knee is sticking out, and then the brick or your book, or you could just use a firm pillow here, is sitting underneath the top knee. So we've got bottom knee is out to the side, bottom arm is out to the side to support us, and then the top knee is kind of lifted off the ground and sitting on a brick or something like that. And we want to have the knee pretty much in line with the pubic bone and with our rib cage here. Now I'm going to get you to switch on the thigh muscles here and also your bum muscles, and roll your hip inwards so that your foot comes off the ground, and then roll it back again. So exhale to roll inwards and then release down. Exhale to roll inwards. And now stay there. Keep that foot lifted. Keep the knee pressing into your brick. And we've got keeping that internal rotation here. All of this area is a bit switched on. Now we're focusing on the front part of the pelvic floor. So around the urethra, we're just going to zip upwards and then release down. So it's a little like you're stopping yourself weeing to lift and then releasing down, zipping up through the whole of the urethra and then releasing down. And again, and releasing down. And because we're doing this contraction here, we're also working deep into the muscles that hold our organs into place. So not just around the pelvic floor and the sphincter, but also deep into the pelvic bowl. And again, exhaling and release it. And then just give your hip a bit of a pat and take the knee into the chest here. And then let's stick the heel up towards the ceiling. Give it a couple of kicks away from you. And then just rub the outside of your leg, rub the inside of your leg. And if you can, grab hold of your ankle, maybe even your toe. Just give the heel a press away from you so that you can really stretch all through the leg into those calf muscles as well. You might want to just open the thigh a little bit, getting right deep into those inner thigh muscles here. Beautiful. Okay, so let's just take that leg down. Roll yourself onto all fours. I'll just take those bricks over that side now. So roll onto all fours, hands nice and wide. So stretch your fingers away from each other. Place your hands directly underneath your shoulders, knees directly underneath your hips, and then just lift your tail and then tuck your tail. So same thing as we did on the ground, but now we've got a bit more space to move. So really lifting and then really tucking, and let the rest of your spine ripple with the movement of the pelvis, and breathe in and breathe out. So in yoga, we open on an inhale and we close on an exhale. So we kind of contract on an exhale, and on an inhale, we lengthen. So when we're doing this movement, if you get confused, just remember you're opening your body here in cow. So we inhale, and then we're closing, we're rounding an angry cat, we're exhaling. Imagine you're lifting your tail behind you and then tucking your tail underneath you. That's it. Now take your tail and just massage your tail around in a big circle. So lovely big hula hooping of the hips, circling, massaging one direction and then the other. So this is what you want to be doing. If you've been running, or if you've been doing lots of walking and you're stiff through the hips, we need to mobilize them. So this is a really great way to do that. Now take your knees together and your hands a little bit wider, shoulders away from ears, and just drop the hips to one side. So this is getting right here on that side, obviously, but right into the hip area and down into that IT band. So up and over to the other side, right, stretching into this area. And you can kind of massage your pelvis back and forward to find the spot that you need that massage to go into. So just mobilize from one side to the other. Give your hips a stretch. Beautiful. And now knees apart, drop the pelvis back, stretch the fingertips out. So we want to feel this length through the spine. Sitting bones a little bit high, pubic bone dropping down towards the ground. stretching right underneath the armpits when we take our wrists off the ground as well. Now put a bit of pressure through the little fingers so that we feel a draping sensation. We're rolling those shoulders away from each other. That's the way. And then come up onto hands and knees again. Tuck your toes, keep your tail high, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Roll the shoulders away from the ears and just kind of walk the heels down and paw at the ground and drop the knees across the midline. Have a little dance in downward facing dancey dog. Have a dance around, massage those hips, massage into the lower back, and then walk your feet like a bear really. So you're walking your feet crossways on your mat and make your feet quite wide. So now our big toes are heading inwards and the little toe edge is pressing outwards, and you can keep your knees as bent as you need to. If your bricks are close, mine are a bit far away, but if you're close, you can use your brick here and slide your brick out in front of you and then place your hands on your brick. And imagine someone's got your tail and they're pulling your tail backwards as you stretch your fingertips forward. If you don't have a brick here, don't worry, fingertips on the mat, roll your shoulders away from your ears, and just feel that lovely stretch through your spine and that lengthening stretch through the inner thighs. Push down firmly through the little toe edge and see if you can suction up your inner arches so they don't collapse down. You've got a bit of energy coming up through the inside of your legs as well. Shoulders rolling away from the ears. And then walking your dancing dog around to the other side, like so. And then just dropping down onto your knees and rolling down onto your side here. So we need a brick for our head or a pillow for the head, supporting your head. And then taking my right hand, your left hand, doesn't matter. Fingertips on top of your forehead like so. Knees bend out to the side, fetal pose, and arm just supporting you here. So start by taking the elbow behind you, inhaling to open the body, exhaling to close. So inhaling, we stretch into those chest muscles and see if you can make this almost a moving meditation, just flowing with your breath. And every time you come back, see if you can drop your elbow a tiny bit closer to the ground. Feeling that wonderful rinsing out sensation through the spine. Wonderful. This time, leave your elbow back behind you. Turn your head to face forward. You'll need to open your eyes now. And then either arm unfurling so that you get that very deep stretch all the way through. This is the heart meridian here, and it goes into the lung meridian. So we're stretching, and it's a bit of a nervy stretch and getting these pectoral muscles to really open up. So breathing here, like I said before, if you've got a bit of shoulder congestion, fingertips on the hip and elbow just dropping back, that's still a really nice, decent stretch into the chest and a little bit into the thoracic spine as well. And then hand down and just either massaging that shoulder around or maybe full rotation if you've got space behind you, like so. Okay, let's take the other brick. Oh, first of all, we're going to do tummy. So, so we're lifting the waist away from the floor, remember? So we're going to exhale. We start with pelvic floor. So it feels like you're stopping yourself, passing wind and going for a wee at the same time. That's the kind of sensation we're looking for. It's an activation and then a zipping up, and then corsetory muscles are cinching in towards your spine. A little bit of a gap here, and then just let it all go. Let your belly go. Let your bum go. Exhaling, zipping in and up and cinching in, and then releasing it. So we do the activation on an exhale. If we do this again and again and again, those neural pathways are really going to start firing, and we're going to find that we automatically exhale when we lift something heavy or just before we sneeze, before we cough, so that we really get the synergy, the activation starting from the bottom upwards and then releasing back down again. Exhaling bottom upwards, cinching away from the ground and releasing back down. Now take your brick, place it underneath your top knee, bottom knee sticking straight out in front of you, top knee supported, bottom arm supporting you. So we want to internally rotate. So we're squeezing bum, we're squeezing hip, all those outer thigh muscles, those abductor muscles, we're squeezing them in, and just drop them for a moment, then squeeze them in. Now pause here. Knee is pressing down onto your prop. So it's quite a strong feeling of internal rotation and activation here. Foot up towards the ceiling as much as you can make it. And then we do a zip up and release, a zip up and then release. So you're feeling as if you're stopping yourself weeing, but then we take that suction up towards our tummy button and then we release it. So stop yourself weeing, zipping up a little bit higher and then release it. Stop and zip, release, stop and zip up, release. Do this on an exhale, zip up and exhaling again, zip up. And one more time, zipping up. Good, release that down. Golly gosh, I can feel that one. And take the knee into your chest. Stick your heel away from you. Give it a kick. Rub where you need to rub, where it feels tight. Let's just give it a little bit of warmth into all those muscles. Very good. Maybe even grabbing hold of your ankle or your toe just to give yourself a bit more of a stretch. That's the way. Beautiful. And then coming onto all fours again. Let's take those bricks out of the way. Okay, so actually, no, what we're going to do is we're going to slide these bricks underneath our knees. So if you don't have bricks, don't worry. You don't necessarily need bricks under your knees. I'm just making it a little bit more gravity for those pelvic organs. So if you don't have them, don't worry about it. We're going to start with our bum back, stretching the pelvic floor muscles behind us, arms out in front, shoulders away from your ears. Now, as you exhale, we're doing that plunger, so we're lifting right up, and we're not moving our torso at all. We're keeping that nice and straight. So we're exhaling forward. Weight now over our wrists. So quite strong through the arms and zipped up here. So this is all switched on. Coming back again. So exhaling forward, pause, inhaling back. It's not the same as a squeeze. You won't feel that. Instead, it's more of a whole corsetry switching on suction, plunger suction kind of sensation. Back. Good. Now, I want you to either carry on doing that, or if you'd like to have a go with the decompression breath, come onto your forearms and practice coming forward and pausing here, and then come back again. So what I want you to do is breathe into your ribs when we're back here. So you really flare your ribs out. You take a deep breath in. As you come forward, you empty your lungs completely of breath. So you breathe out completely. There's no more breath left in you. And then you stay here, and instead of breathing in properly, you just pretend to breathe in, and you flare your ribs out to the side, and you kind of suck up. So everything sucks upwards as you take, it's called a false inhalation. And then you have to let your belly go and drop back down again. So it's a decompression breath. We breathe in here to set. We breathe out as we move forward. We breathe all of the breath out of our lungs. There's nothing there. And then we don't breathe in. We just flare the ribs out to the side, and we kind of suck our diaphragm up a little bit further, and we get this kind of concave suction up through the lower belly. And then let your belly go and release it back down again. So this is full Uddiyana Bandha, a decompression breath that sucks the pelvic organs up underneath the rib cage almost. So you breath in, it's a breath out, all the breath out, and then flare the ribs, slight rounding of the back, pelvic floor zipping up, lower belly zipping up, and then releasing back down again. Okay, so keep going with that. I'm just going to show you what is happening as we breathe in, and then we breathe out. We're automatically getting the decompression, and then we're doing this. Whew. takes your breath away. So what we're doing is getting a vacuum, a really good diaphragmatic and pelvic floor vacuum right up. So we're really working deep into the pelvic bowl. So one more of those. Breathe in back, breathe out to go forward. Empty your lungs completely and then flare your ribs out. As soon as you need to breathe, you let your belly go and take a couple of breaths. Whew. Good. Let's just take those bricks out in front of us. If you've got 2 bricks, and then come down onto your belly here. Roll the shoulders away from your ears. And if you've got bricks, take your hands on your bricks and elbows in. If you don't have bricks, don't worry. Hands just down on the ground for cobra. Tops of the feet on the ground. Now inhale deeply. As you inhale, let the chest lift up. So we work into the extensor muscles of the back and then roll back down again. So we breathe in to lift. We breathe out to slowly come back. Push the tops of your feet into the ground so your knees are active and they come off the ground slightly, but your bum doesn't squeeze. So make sure bum isn't squeezing. Inhaling up, exhaling down. So we could just push up like so, but we don't want to do that because that is working on the big muscles. And what we want to do is work on the little intrinsic key core muscles that's really going to support our spine. So inhaling and exhaling. This is really good for our posture as well. And exhaling and inhaling and exhaling. Good. Take those bricks out in front of you for a moment. Now, just squeeze your right bum as hard as you can. Squeeze it and see if you can take your foot off the ground and then drop it. And then do that again. Squeeze just your right bum and then drop your foot back down. So do a couple of those on the right-hand side, squeezing and releasing so that our foot and maybe even our knee comes off the ground. And then try that on the other side, left bum, left glute cheek, squeezing, releasing it, squeezing and releasing. Good. And then try doing one and then the other, squeeze and then the other, squeeze and then the other. So if you were swimming, you would have your hands out on the kickboard and you'd be kicking your little legs, but using your bum, squeezing and 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 squeezing. Drop your feet down. Now, actually for this one, just take your hands underneath your forehead. Chin tucked in, so shoulders are relaxed and your chin and your neck is relaxed. Take your right foot up towards the ceiling and then squeeze your right glute so the knee comes just off the ground and then squeeze it a bit more. So you're kicking your heel towards the ceiling and you need to take your tummy button off the ground as well. Little kicks, release it, take the other foot up, squeeze the glute and then lift the knee and do little kicks here. Activating those bums. Beautiful. Drop those feet down towards the ground. Roll the shoulders away from your ears and take your hands down towards your toes. Now, as you inhale, draw everything up and then pull your toes back, pull your fingertips back and send the crown of your head forward. So you're squeezing the whole back line of the body, bum and back, toes active, fingers active. One more breath in and then just go, and let your body be as floppy as you can make it and rock your hips from side to side like so. And then turn your toes in and your heels out. So there's lots of space here. Yeah, lots of space. And just kind of rock from side to side again. Like that. Good. And then take your left hand underneath your forehead. Roll your right shoulder back and just grab hold of your right ankle. And then we're gently pressing the pelvis down into the ground to stretch those quads and stretch into the front of the pelvis here, into those psoas muscles. So as you breathe out, gently pressing quads into the ground, pubic bone into the ground. And let's do one more of those buzzy bee breaths out as we do this. Good. So it's just so nice to do those buzzy bee breaths because they just calm everything down. So swap the other side, roll the shoulder back, grab hold of the ankle, Flex the ankle, breathe in, buzzy bee breath as you push your pubic bone to the ground. Very good. Dropping both feet down, hands underneath the shoulders, and then slowly push yourself up. Come into an extended child pose again. Fingertips out in front of you. Sitting bones dropping down towards heels. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Let everything be nice and relaxed here. Smooth, smooth breath. That's the way. Good. And coming up onto hands and knees, tuck your toes, keep your tail lifted. As you exhale, lift your tail right up behind you. So focus first of all on that straight spine. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Then press your heels down one at a time to get into the calf muscles. Drop the knees across the midline. Get into your dancing dog again, so massaging around. That's the way. Lovely big massaging. And then bend the knees and walk your feet towards your hands, but your feet are nice and wide, so they are going out like a frog, toes out, heels in, and then drop down so you look like a frog, and either elbows onto the inside of your knees and your hands together, or back of the arms here, stretching them apart. So we're gently pressing outwards with those elbows to stretch those inner thigh muscles, and then drop the sitting bones down as we look upwards. You push the floor away with your heels, exhaling, push the floor away, using glutes as we come up, and then drop down again. Keep the torso straight. Exhale to come up, and then drop down again. Beautiful. So we want to use our bum, not our back here. We want to push the floor away. Glutes are lifting, hamstrings are working as we come up and down again. Exhaling. So if we have a big heavy bag of shopping, we don't do this. We do this and down, and exhaling to come up, exhaling. Pretend you've got a couple of big bags of shopping, and down, bum behind you, and down. Last one. Beautiful. Give your legs a little shake. Come back into the big hip rotations, massaging the pelvis one direction and then the other. Good. So I'm going to get you to use the wall for this next thing. If you have a big bit of wall, if you haven't got a big bit of wall, you're going to have to do a bit of extra balancing. So use your bricks as well, if you've got them close by. Let's take the brick over to the right-hand side of the mat. And so we're going to start just with our inner thigh stretches. So stick your bum behind you again. Come into this goddess dance. Hips rocking from side to side. So you're back to swishing your tail from side to side, like that. And then pause and pull your toes back. So we get a really decent stretch into those inner thigh muscles. Lovely. Tail is sticking up behind us. And then swing your hips to the other side, tail up behind you, and rub the inside of those legs there. Good, and then roll back again. Now come up, turn both of your toes over to the right. The legs stay straight to start off with, torso nice and straight, base of the rib cage dropping in, so we're not kind of flaring the ribs. Arms start drawing out. Now pull your pelvis back, so your left hip drawing back as you stretch out to the right. Drop the hand wherever it lands, and legs stay straight, and then stack your shoulders like so. Now, if your brick is close, you could use your brick here and just take your hand onto your brick. But for the moment, maybe just use your leg here. So come into your triangle pose. Now see if you can drop the bottom shoulder in slightly and take the top shoulder back. If your shoulder itself is not feeling so good, hand on hip and just rotate through the spine, through the upper chest area. So that feels so nice. We're just kind of rinsing out tension through the thoracic spine. Decent stretch to here through the inner thighs as well. Good. Now we're going to come into half moon pose. So drop the hand against the hip. Bend the front knee. Grab your brick and you want to place it on the little toe edge of your mat. If you're against the wall, you can just slide your leg up the wall. It's really a lot easier. But if we're doing it this way, we've got to balance. So start by sliding your back toe in and taking all the weight on your bent standing leg. Get nice and solid there. And then as you start to straighten your standing leg, stick your back leg up behind you. And once you're here, you can either just stay here and breathe and just focus on balancing, or maybe take arm up towards the ceiling. And if you're balanced here, challenge the balance by seeing if you can look forward and maybe even up towards the ceiling. So if you're doing this version against the wall, then use the wall to really open the body up. So this is against gravity. We're taking our crown and our legs as far apart as possible, stretching the spine. And then as soon as body says that is enough, you roll yourself into a little ball like so, and you push the floor away and you just kind of drape yourself up, one vertebra at a time. Good. So just pause for a moment and just see if you feel a bit taller. It's a really lovely way to decompress the vertebra away from each other. So like I said, if you've got the wall here, use it. Come into your triangle, come into your half moon, use the wall. It just is a bit easier to open. If not, you're just going to have to add a bit of a balance. So that's okay. We're going to start with our legs straight, feet over to the left, arms out, shoulders relaxed, but fingers nice and vibrant. And then stretch out as if you're polishing a table, right hip behind you. And then just drop the hand wherever it lands, top hand up towards the ceiling, shoulders, give them a little bit of a twist. So bottom shoulder drawing in, top shoulder drawing out, thoracic twist here. Smooth, big breaths. We really want to make sure that the breath is going all around, especially the back of our lungs. Those are one of those lovely unwinding poses that you can kind of just do little micro movements in and get some really decent stretches through the whole body. And then looking down at the ground, bend into the front knee, take the hand down by your hip. So the standing leg is doing all the work. Starting off, just come up onto your back toes. So you start to squeeze thigh muscles into thigh bones and then push the floor away. So you start to straighten your standing leg as you lift your back leg up. So you're either just balancing here, or if you've got your balance, open the body up slightly, take the hand up towards the ceiling. And the more you lift your toes and stretch them away from you, and the more you stretch your fingertips away from each other, the stronger and the more elongated you feel. And then when you're ready, just curl yourself into a little ball, fold yourself forward, and then push the floor away and stack the vertebra coming up. One at a time. And then come onto the wall and take your bottom against the wall like that. So your sitting bones against the wall. You want to have your feet about a foot or two almost away from the wall, slightly bent knees, and just fold yourself forward. And as you fold yourself forward, walk your sitting bones up the wall a bit more. So we get a bit of a hamstring stretch. And then just let your head drop, hold onto your forearms. And this is a fabulous restorative pose. It just pulls attention out of your upper back. Give your head a shake. We also are stimulating into the pituitary gland here. So this is a really wonderful restorative pose for those of us who are perimenopausal and really need the hormones to balance us. So we stimulate hormone production when we're in this kind of forward fold and when we're focused on the long exhale. So when we're in a forward fold, we seem to elongate the exhalation, and there's a bit more pause at the end of the exhale. So taking a few long exhales. The longer we make the exhale, the more the vagus nerve gets stimulated. This is our super highway into that rest and digest state. Very good. Alrighty, just take yourself off the wall, slowly walk your hands forward, stretch up into downward facing dog, roll shoulders away from ears, give your head a shake, take 3 full exhalations here. Sigh breath out. And then dropping onto your knees. Take your feet together and using bricks, if you've got them, to fold yourself forward into child pose. So we want the forehead to be supported on something, either the ground or on bricks. If it's uncomfortable to have your bottom straight down on your heels, use another pillow or a brick or something just between your heels and your bottom, so your bottom's a bit higher. If you've got prolapse and it's feeling low tonight, then also maybe it's just a good idea to keep your pelvis a bit propped up. So child pose is a wonderful restorative pose just to let everything settle. So get yourself comfortable and focus on that exhale. Focus on the pressure of your belly against your thighs. In this position, the back of the lungs, where we have most of our lung capacity, gets a little bit more of a focus. So you really see if you can pull those inhalations into the back of your lungs. Feel the exhalation being completely pressed out of you. Good. Stay here just for another couple of breaths. I'm going to get you to press your forehead on the ground or on your bricks so that your eyebrows come down towards your eyes, almost like you've got a Herman Munster kind of effect going through the forehead. So you just really stretch the forehead and imagining that the forehead is opened up and any thinking is just pouring out. The mind is just settling now. See if you can imagine the mind is clearing as you have that pressure through the forehead. Focusing on the sound of the exhale. Taking the hands just underneath the shoulders, slowly coming up. So we're going to come back to the wall to finish the practice and stay here just for a short while. And then I thought we'd finish with a breath technique, a pranayama technique, which is really nice to do just before you go to bed. So start by taking your hips again against the wall, rolling yourself up. We just need to release the glutes since we've done a bit of glute work. So take one ankle on top of the other ankle again. Draw the foot down the wall so we stretch into those glutes. Get a nice releasing stretch there. Take the knees slightly out to the side. Take that thumb into the acupressure point. So that point just below the pink bit of your foot. And let's do a Brahmacharya breath out here. So breathing in through the nostrils. That's competitive Brahmacharya breath in, see how long I could go. As you take the breath out, just gently press your knee out to the side so you don't go deeper into the stretch here. So let's just swap sides there. Left ankle on top of right knee, slide the right foot down the wall, let that left knee drop out to the side, so deep stretch into that left glute. Try not to let your pelvis tuck, keep the pelvis pushing back into the ground. Let's breathe in and a buzzy bee breath out as you press into that acupressure point as well with the thumb. Good. Now take the feet up the wall, shuffle your bottom a bit closer. So that would come into a restorative shoulder stand if you want to. So if you're feeling like legs up the wall is just where you want to stay right now, then beautiful. Just let your hands plop down to the ground, let your feet drop out to the sides, and just enjoy another couple of minutes in this pose. Otherwise, you can take your feet onto the wall. Now don't move your head, so just listen to what I'm saying. Don't move your head like I am. And then you push your feet into the wall and just slide your bottom up. And if you've got a brick here, put the brick underneath your pelvis on the middle side. And if that feels comfortable, maybe even try it on the high side. So you take the top of the brick right underneath the pelvis. You need to kind of bend your bottom back, or bend the back of the pelvis back onto your brick. So it's like you're sticking your pelvis back behind you, and you're just in this kind of supported position. If you happen to have two bricks, you can take both of them together, which gives you a bit more of a platform to rest your pelvis onto here. So hang on, let me get those two bricks there. So that feels nice. Really decent stretch through the back of the neck. And you can just kind of stay here, palms up, back of the hands on the ground. And this is, again, just a brilliant way to get pelvic organs away from pelvic floor. Take the weight of the legs off the body. Just let everything, get the lymph flowing well. A nice restorative pose to calm the system down before bed. If you are used to practicing full shoulder stand and you'd like to do that now, then of course take those bricks away, take the hands underneath the pelvis, start off in half shoulder stand, and then one foot and then the other foot off the wall. But only doing this version if you've been practicing it before. So we support the hips first of all, elbows close, one foot up, see if that feels good, and then the other foot up. That's it. And you never move your head if you're in shoulder stand. And when you're ready, whatever version you're in, if it feels nice, well, I mean, stay here for a bit longer. If it feels like you've had enough, then just start to ease your way down and give yourself another minute or so, just relaxing with legs up the wall, feeling the back of the body melting into the ground, closing the eyes, and stay with the Ujjayi breath. So stay with that long, smooth, slightly ocean-like sound to the breath. And imagine that little sparkles, little light sparkles, like sunshine on water, are just sparkling through your body. So you feel just underneath the skin surface of the whole of the body, and you roam around the body with your mind's eye, just allowing these little sparkles to flow and swirl and massage around the body, especially if there's any bits of the body that still feel a bit congested. Just feel these sparkles flowing and massaging around, up and down, ebbing and flowing, just nourishing as you become very, very aware of the prana, the life force, that slight buzz just underneath the skin surface of the whole of your body, whole of your body. Alrighty. I'm going to get you to slide your feet down the wall now. Slowly roll to one side. Very, very slowly press yourself up and just come and sit. Now, if you did the shoulder stand then, or even the half shoulder stand, I just want you to drop your head down and then roll it around and then the other direction. And then lift your chin and just let your head drop back. And then round your spine. And then lift your chest and lift your chin and round your spine. So just do a couple of this movement, a little bit like cat and cow, releasing your spine, releasing the back of your neck. Now drop your head, roll the head around and again in the other direction. And then find that sweet spot where your head is positioned right on top of your neck. Feels very perfectly positioned. Let your shoulders be nice and open. We'll just do a couple of rounds of Nadi Shodhana. So this is the alternate nostril breathing. It's like there's a wishing bone up through both nostrils and into the center here, into the third eye point. So I like to use my peace fingers and press them into that third eye point. So if you do that, and then we use the thumb and we use the ring finger alternatively to block off one nostril and then the other. So you can always support your elbow with your other arm just to make sure your shoulders don't start doing that. And with a nice loose jaw, start to go back into that Ujjayi breath, so your normal breath. to do a few rounds of normal breath. Now block off your left nostril and breathe in through the right nostril, right up into that third eye point, and then block off the right nostril and breathe out through the left nostril. And then breathe in through the left nostril, then block it off and breathe out through the right nostril. And then in through the right, block it off, and out through the left. So up and down a wishing bone, up and down, back up through the right, block it off, and down through the left. Now I'm going to stop talking so you can just go with your own breath rhythm. See if you can close your eyes and see if you can slow down the exhale in particular. Keep creating that little bit of sound to the breath. And every time you exhale, feel your jaw and your shoulders relaxing even more. And just one more round. And placing the hands on your knees, lengthening up through the crown of the head, letting your shoulders drop down so you have a nice open chest. Noticing how relaxed you can make the muscles around your eyes and just how relaxed you can make your jaw. And then taking the fingertips out to the sides, turn the palms to face the ceiling. And as you breathe in, slowly draw your hands up, up, up above you, opening your eyes, looking upwards. And then just release the breath and release the hands. Fantastic. Roll those shoulders back, hands into the heart center. And just acknowledging yourself for coming along and practicing and especially just moving into that stillness at the end. So thank you so much, ladies. Namaste.